And once again, thank you so much for joining us. Today we're joined by Acumatica, Jazz Systems, the makers of jams, now Acumatica Manufacturing Edition, and Scanco, American Payment Solutions, and V Technologies. So thank you guys for being here with us. We're also joined by Noelle Blockson. She's a partner recruiting manager over at Acumatica. And I'm going to go ahead and let Noelle kick it off here by introducing Acumatica. Thank you, Noelle.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I know we have a full agenda, so I won't take up too much time. But Acumatica, we offer a true partnership as well as a market-leading ERP solution. Acumatica is the only cloud ERP vendor who sells actually 100% through the channel. We offer the most generous margins and terms in the industry, and we never sell direct. So there's never a chance of us competing against our partners. So we are interested in speaking with anyone who is interested in becoming a partner with us. We're fully committed to a successful partnership because you are our feet on the street. Whether your focus is on selling and delivering an award-winning business management solution or developing an innovative application on top of a leading cloud development platform, we provide you that opportunity. So not only do we help with bringing you aboard via our recruitment process, but we also have an enablement process as well. So we offer a lot of resources to get you started. We provide demos and training for you. So again, if you are interested in learning more about the partner program, please feel free to contact me. I believe my contact information will be available at the end of the presentation today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Noelle, for that. We're also joined by Jazz Systems. They are the makers of the Acumatica Manufacturing Edition. They obviously specialize in software solutions for manufacturing companies. They have a seamless integration with the Acumatica Cloud ERP, and they have multi-site manufacturing planning, production planning, shop floor with customer management, automation integration with sales orders, inventory, purchasing, accounting, and financial reporting. And John Schlimmer is going to be presenting the Jazz Systems Acumatica Manufacturing Edition today, and he is the CEO of Jazz Systems. So thank you, John, for being here with us. We're also joined by Scanco. They're a leader in the WMS applications for mid-market ERP since 1989, and they meet the needs of thousands of distribution and manufacturing companies. They provide a seamlessly integrated real-time WMS application with Acumatica on those handheld devices, iOS, Android, and Windows, so that the warehouse personnel can be free to roam within the warehouse to do everything that they do with picking and packing. But they also have a manufacturing solution that is available on the handhelds that can track material, labor, that integrates nicely with the Jazz Systems Acumatica Manufacturing Edition. So we're going to be talking about that today too. And Richard Kurtzer is with Scanco, and he's going to be talking about all of that. And then we're also joined by American Payment Solutions, and they are a market share leader for Acumatica Merchant Solutions. And they offer their solution for restaurants, hospitality, software companies, manufacturers, distributors, anyone that wants to get the lowest credit card processing rate by using all that customer information that's stored in Acumatica. So they're going to be talking about level 3 processing and how their integration works seamlessly with Acumatica. We're also joined by Starship, Matt St. John. He is going to be talking about connecting shipping with order entry, customer service, and accounts receivable. They've been focusing on shipping software since 1989. They're a UPS Ready partner, Gold FedEx compatible solution provider. They support a wide range of carriers, including small parcel, regional, and LTL. And they launched their Acumatica interface in 2016. They are market share leaders for integrations with Sage and Microsoft Dynamics as well. So thank you, Matt, for joining us. And we're going to just a little bit about the workflow today. We're going to be talking about how an order comes into Acumatica and how that order is goes right into the JAS system Acumatica Manufacturing Edition. So that'll automate the production scheduling. It'll monitor the order status throughout the manufacturing process. And the ScanCo solution will also help with the tracking of labor and material. And then also with the picking and packing, ScanCo will automate that with those wireless devices, Android, Windows, and iOS. And then we're going to be talking about how Starship will automate the shipping process by selecting the best carrier in consideration of all the details of the shipment, where the customer is located, cost of shipment, the dimensional weight of the package. And then American Payment Solutions will take that order and apply the best credit card processing rate, given all the information about the customer through level 3 credit card processing. So right now I'm going to hand it over to John so he can get started with showing us the JAS Systems Acumatica Manufacturing Edition. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Adrian. So let me know, can you see my screen okay?
Yes, we can see your screen.
All right, perfect. So what I'm gonna kind of step you through is different ways that orders can come into the system and then go in and populate the manufacturing, and then run through a little bit of the manufacturing on the production side, and then that would flow into Richard as far as doing the automation on the shop floor with barcode devices. So when you first look at Acumatica, there's a couple different things. Depends on your situation as a manufacturer. You could be a make to order, you could be a make to stock, could be a configure to order. So there's a variety of different ways that orders can get into the system. So if you are more into the engineered order or into the make to order, you may do an estimate. So within the estimating, you can come in and quickly estimate things. You have the capability to copy this from different places. So you could copy this from an actual estimate already. You could copy it from a pre-existing production order. You could copy it from a bill of material to get started, go through, create your estimate. This can be tied to a CRM opportunity, or you could tie this directly to a sales order once you win the business. So there's a couple things within here. You can do this as simply as you like, or you can do it as detailed as you like, to where you actually come in and create a mini bill of material, if you will, to where these are the materials that I need to have at this particular operation, and it will roll up that cost all the way back to the original estimate header. So that's one way that people get started in depending on what they do. The other way could be you're a features and options type of operation to where you do configurations to order. So in this particular case, that would be a product configurator. So you have predefined features with predefined options. And there's a variety of different things you can do with include and exclude. You can have attributes associated with this that can then utilize a formula to create the actual material. So as you can see, there's a variety of things that we can do, very detailed if you like. And then from here, you're going to be able to do what's called a test configuration, to where here's all my attributes that I'm going to do, and I can make these required that I have to put in. And then my options are going to be listed here for this particular shower tray. Then as I go down through and I select that option, I can go down to another option and then go down to the last option. So a lot of people utilize this where they have salespeople out or customer service folks, to where they can just go down through, ask the question to the customer, quickly build a configured order, which then, as I'll show when I get to sales orders, how it can be invoked, then can be created into a production order. Now, all of this, as I mentioned, is also tied into the CRM system. So as an example, if I come into this particular opportunity, I have the capability to tie an estimate directly to this opportunity, And then when I get the business, I can actually create a sales order directly from this. The estimate copies forward. Same thing with the configurator. I have the capability to do configurations directly from here. So this is basically just a different type of configuration, but I can come through and create a configuration out of CRM, create the sales order, and it copies all the way through. So once it comes into the Acumatica sales order system, now this could also come in from a website, it could also come in through EDI, but once it comes in, then it comes into here, and I've got two that I've created. But you'll notice that I have an estimates tab here as well. So if I would have created this from an estimate, then I would have that estimate associated with this. But then I can also have a configured item, which this one is, and it all integrates back to the same one. So this is one that you saw me do earlier, where I have the two things that are required. The sales, actually the customer service person or the sales order person can actually step down through, pick and choose, and say, I want this particular option. It runs through its rules, go down to the next one, and I'll take this next item, and it runs through the rules and validates everything. And then once I complete this, I can finish this, and I need this length and width, and I'll put in 20, and I'll put in 40, and now I can finish this. All right, so now I have a configuration that I could then create a production order for. The other thing is that you could create a production order directly from here. You come up to actions, you click the production order, and all you have to do is click which one you want and hit create, or you could click all, and it'll create the next production order. Anywhere that the hyperlink is in effect, you have the capability to drill down into that. So this is the one that I created a little bit earlier, and you'll notice that this is directly referenced back to that sales order number and that sales line item. Now there's different sources that can be copied in through here. So this one came from a bill of material. It could have come from an estimate. So I could copy an estimate directly into a production order without creating a bill of material, or it can come in through a configuration, or I can copy a different production order to utilize that particular bill of material. Now, once I have it into production order, there's a variety of things that you can do. I can go into the production order maintenance and look at that particular order and release that. I can do what's called rough cut planning and come in and say, this is the one that I want. So I can see visually here what my schedule's looking at. So I can change the priority dates here. I can change the dates here. And then when I want to firm that up and go ahead and release that, all I need to do is go ahead and schedule that particular one. Now I could schedule multiples, I could schedule all of them. And now when I come back into the production order maintenance, this is the one that we just were looking at, and I've gone ahead and released this to the floor. Now it's available to be worked on. From here, there's different events that we track. So all of the events that we're going to track is anything that occurs to this particular production order. And then from a total standpoint, it copied in the standard bill of materials. So this is my planned total, could be a standard, could be an estimated total. And as we run transactions along that, it's going to update the actual and decrement the variance. Now it also copied in the bill of material. So this is the routing piece here that we're going to follow. It gives me a start and end date based on the schedule within that, and by operation, and then each material that's associated that I need at that particular operation as well. Now, a couple things, if you have a part that might be short, if you're not utilizing MRP, you do have the capability to do what's called critical material. And I don't have any parts that are short on this particular one, but if I show all my items, I may have this drip tray that I need to order that I'm short on this. So I have the capability to come in here, create a purchase order. It'll bring in my preferred vendor, which I could change at this time. And then once I'm satisfied that that's the vendor I want, I can create this. And what this will do is it'll create the next purchase order for that particular drip tray. So if I come into purchasing and look at purchase orders, this is the one that I just ordered, I believe, or unless I need to refresh it. Nope, go to the next one. Here's the one that I just ordered. So this is the drip tray that I just ordered, and you'll notice that it's directly tied to that particular production number. So when I go out and I go through the purchasing process, I can issue the PO, I receive this back in, and then this particular product and cost will go directly back to this production order. So if I come back into the production order maintenance, a couple other things that you can do here. You can actually add attributes. So from a quality assurance standpoint, you have the capability to add things that you wish to track. It could be a calibration, could be some type of measurement, could be a sample of some type that you have the capability to do. Now, from a production ticket standpoint, this is probably one of the most customized forms because everybody wants it a little bit differently. But if this is a barcoded, which Richard's going to get to, excuse me, then you would see a barcode next to the production order number, a barcode next to the operation, and a barcode next to the inventory items that you require at this particular one. And then as we run transactions through this, you have the capability, if it's a backflushed operation to where you're backflushing material and or labor, you would just do a move transaction. If you're applying direct labor, then this would be something that ScanCo would actually be able to scan. We do have the capability to do both direct and indirect. So if I came in here, I can do direct labor that's going to be specific to a production order by employee, or I can do indirect labor. So if they were sweeping the floor or doing something that wasn't direct labor, you can account for that. All right, so as an example here, this is one that was completed for this particular production order. It was direct labor. It was for this particular employee. They worked 22 minutes, and basically the labor time was that. This is their labor rate, so I'm going to apply $7.33 of direct labor to that production order, and they actually completed one. And Richard will step you through that here in a minute as far as how that goes through. Now, a couple other things that you can look at. You can look at work center capacity, just as an example, to where I could look at a specific work center, or I can go back and see what, these particular work centers, total blocks of time gets into anything that's divisible into 60 from a finite standpoint, and from a scheduled blocks, that would be finite. Planned blocks is infinite, so we can do both of those. And then I'm going to get a planned utilization and a scheduled utilization associated with this. Now you can also see that on a data view. So I don't know if anybody caught this on the way in, but these are all of my different work centers that I have. This is set up for infinite, but you'll notice I got a major bottleneck here on this work center 100. So I'm going to need to take some action on that and smooth that out. The last piece would be on MRP. So if you're going to allow MRP to do all the planning, then you're going to be able to come in here and basically see, I need to make 3,999 of these because I got a master production schedule set up for this. It takes into account safety stock, reorder point, takes into account any lead times, and will backward schedule all the way back to when you need to first order material in order to get it into that particular production order at the right time. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Richard and have him show you labor and the move transactions.
Yeah. All righty, let's go ahead and share my screen. And all right, can everybody see the PowerPoint on the screen there?
Yes, we can.
Great. So just a real quick intro, and then we'll dive right into the applications. My name is Richard Kurtzer. I come from ScanCo, and I would say we make probably the best barcoding and data collection for warehouse and manufacturing on Acumatica, and we've been doing this since 1989 with thousands of customers across various ERPs. To show you where we're at right now with Acumatica, we're up to about a dozen customers at 17 sites around the country. I actually need to add one more dot right next to New York City in northern New Jersey for our latest customer that's going to be coming online soon, but we're growing rapidly. So there's going to be more and more dots on this map coming soon. Where I'm going to be starting today is going to be going through XScan for manufacturing. And while John showed you the incredible power of Acumatica Manufacturing Edition, we are all about distilling that down into something that's fast and extremely usable on the shop floor. And then following that, we're going to go into a bit about warehouse. So without further ado, I'm just going to go directly to my Android handheld. Our applications work on both Android and iOS. We have some specific hardware products that we like from companies like Zebra and Cognex that we certified and that will guarantee to work. But I'm just going to go ahead and full screen this. So just imagine this device is in my hand. I'm going to be driving most of this presentation with barcodes. So you'll see transactions flow really quickly because that's how fast it is to use on the shop floor. So let's say it's the beginning of the day. We want to issue some material to a work center. We want to start making some stuff. So I'm going to go into material issue on my handheld, and you'll see that the first thing it's going to ask for is a production number. So I'm going to go ahead and scan my first production number of the day. And then it's going to ask me for an item number. Now, I might have those item numbers on a production ticket in front of me, but one of the other neat things we do is you can actually drill in and see what's needed on a given order. But since I actually have barcodes, let's go through and show you how fast that works when you're scanning it. So I've scanned my reservoir inlet. You'll see that it's automatically populating my unit of measure, and it's giving me the transaction type. I got to pick which warehouse I'm grabbing this out of. Let's try that one more time. Go to material issue. And let's go with this production number here. Grab my first item number off of that. Now, one of the reasons I like this item is that we handle all the different units of measure that Acumatica does. So it's not just, individual items, but if I need music wire or a liquid or something else that's in, or, variable length product, it'll handle it. And then I just pick which bin I'm going to grab that out of. And let's see how many I need. I'm going to close the keyboard there. Well, I've overissued it a bit. So what it's going to do is if I want to keep issuing on that, it's actually going to prompt me just to make sure that I've checked myself on this. And then I have to pick what lot that's coming out of. So I'm going to go ahead and scan my lot number. And my quantity distribute is 15. And now that material has been issued into that work center. So let's do that one more time just to step you through that transaction again. First, you scan your production number, and actually just let's show you through a lookup. I can actually hit my magnifying glass and look at available orders and work centers that are in the system. So let's pick number 3 here. And let's go ahead and select an item number that we need. There's actually nothing I need for this one. Pick an item, pick my circuit board, and you'll see as we drill in here, you'll be able to see unit of measure, quantity required, quantity issued. So you'll have a quick check spots at a glance as you go. One of the other things is we're always validating what you're scanning in and what you're selecting. So if I scan something that's not a bin location, it's just not going to take it. It's not going to allow me to proceed any further until I delete that spurious entry and scan a valid spot. And that includes if I scan a bin location that doesn't actually have any inventory in there. So let's see how many I need. I have quantity on hand, I have 1 required, and I need to issue 1. So I'll hit 1, check, and that item's been issued. So once I've issued a bunch of items to my work center, my production entry, I'm going to have to track the labor. And this is going to be up to you, as John said, whether or not you want to backflush and have, or do indirect labor. But for capturing direct labor by employee, here's how it would work. First, you click on labor entry, and then you would go ahead and select an employee number. And that could be something as simple as you give your employee a badge with their employee number on it, or you can go into a lookup and grab it. So I'll select my employee there. Let's say we're working in that production number we were looking at before in work center 10. We pick which shift they're working on if this is a multi-shift environment. So we're on the first shift of the day. There's our start time of 2:24 p.m. and we can track in. Now the real beauty of the way this system works is that I can now hand this same handheld off to the next employee so they can check into their job, or it can be set up on a tablet with a handheld scanner so that, say you're in a shop where you have a CNC machine and a die cutter and, and a milling machine. You have 3 machines that are all next to each other. You don't have to have 3 separate handhelds or 3 separate terminals to issue material or to track labor. You really just need to determine, okay, maybe 1 or 2 would be appropriate for how much throughput I have. So it helps manage the cost and complexity of the installation. And then as you can see, the screens are really easy for people to learn on the floor. That way, they're not spending all their time on data entry, they're spending their time performing the operations that they need to do to build your products on that shop floor. So when we're done building something and it's time to move from work in process into either inventory or into another sales order, for example, I can go right into production entry. So I'm going to go ahead and pick my production number. So that's the production number we just checked into on the time clock. It's for the finished product is going to be a Keurig Model 450 coffee maker. Let's select what bin number I want to put that away into. Let's go with row 1, shelf 3. And let's just say I finished one of them. And now, since this is a serial tracked item, it's also going to ask me to establish a serial number for that item in accordance with the schema that's in Acumatica. So I can go ahead and type that in, or of course, scan it off of the serial number barcode. And now that item has been entered into inventory. Go ahead and do that one more time just so you can see it for good measure, because like I said, the transactions move through this quickly because that's how quick it is to use on the shop floor. And I can make another one, again, put it away in row 1, shelf 3, make 1, and then scan another unique serial number. And it will validate those serial numbers against stuff that's in the system already, so you're not creating duplicates or causing other issues like that. And then at the end of that shift, I can, of course, check out from my direct labor operation. So I pick my same employee, I've got my production number, and now that I'm done, I've got my 2 complete, I've checked, and I can track out. And that's the basic overview of XScan. A couple other neat features that we have. For example, if you only want to use part of this, maybe you're doing material issue and production entry, but you don't need to do direct labor, you can actually go in with an admin password and take the labor entry icon off the screen. Just little things like that. But as time goes on, we're going to keep adding more and more features, and that's the basic overview of that. And once we've actually created everything and made our products, it's time to sell it. So I'm going to switch over to Warehouse. And as you can see, we're on Android. Both applications live happily side by side on my handhelds. And now we're in the Warehouse application. So we have everything that you'd expect from a standard warehouse management system, modern interface, and then we have all of our major functions. We have purchase order receiving, sales order processing, physical count processing that ties right into Acumatica's count system, inventory transfers, and then a couple utilities. I'm going to step you through the kind of the core transactions today. Feel free to reach out afterwards if you want to really get into the in-depth stuff. Let's go ahead and start with a purchase order. So of course, PO receipt by order is exactly what it sounds like. You pick an order number and then you receive against it. In the real world, what we're finding a lot of our customers doing is receiving using the by item, which in reality is by customer. So say you have a vendor, they've sent you a mixed pallet and you want to receive everything that you have on that. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a vendor. Now we're operating in my wholesale warehouse. We support multi-company and multi-warehouse right out of the box for both of these applications. And if I drill in from this point, I can either scan a barcode for something or I can drill in. But let's say I have that first item on my pallet right here. Let's just go ahead and scan it. One of the cool things that we do is that we do a lot of automatic association. So let me just close the keyboard and step back because the system's fast. It auto-populates a lot of things if it can. So all I did is I scanned my barcode, but that auto-populated the description, the unit of measure, the purchase order it's from, because if there's only one PO in the system with an item on it, it'll auto-associate. Otherwise, it'll give you an opportunity to choose, between all the POs that are open for it. It's going to automatically receive into my receiving bin, which can be designated by you on the other end as an admin. And then I have a couple of options. I can turn on label printing, which will allow the system to spit out some labels when you hit the receive button. And also I can turn on or off scanning of eaches. That basically makes it work like a serialized item where you'd have to scan it 10 times to receive 10 items. But let's just say I want to receive my 10 items. I physically counted them, they're there. I hit the check mark. Next item I want to receive from the vendor, let's say I want to go off the list. I have an item that's in front of me that doesn't have a barcode on it, so I need to pick it off of the list. So I can just hit the checkbox here. It'll drill in and it'll show me everything that's open for this particular vendor. I know that it's my pogo sticks that I need, so I'll select it off the list. Again, it'll auto-associate the purchase order and show me everything I need. And now it says that I have 10 on the purchase order. Let's say that they short shipped me, I only got 5 in stock. The system will allow that. If I only need to receive 5 of them, it's gonna leave the other 5 open, and then, next thing. So let's do one more item. Let's go ahead and scan that in. And that's what happens when I scan an incorrect part number. If I scan a purchase order or something that's invalid, it'll actually kick it back out. And that's really where a lot of the value is in all of these barcoding solutions, is that you can always use a piece of paper and people are very good, but Lord knows that I make my share of typos if I have to manually enter something, and the barcoding option makes it effectively, incredibly error resistant as you go here. So let's see, I've picked my final item that I'm going to receive today. I've got my chairs, and I've got 25 on the order. I see 25 in front of me. There we go. So I've received 3 lines, and then the last step in this process is just to hit on the top of the screen here, the send button. Hit yes, and now all those transactions are done. They're received in Acumatica, and that inventory is available for you to sell once you transfer it out of the put away location, of course. So let's go ahead and do a I'll show you how a transfer works. So let's go and do a transfer out. So let's say I want to stay within my warehouse, but I want to move something out of my receiving bin. So let's go ahead and take a look at my widgets. And then my source bin. If I drill in on that, it's going to show me where I have everything. So I want to move something from row 1, shelf 1. And then my destination bin could be row 1, shelf 2. So you'll see, let's close the keyboard there. There's my warehouse, my item, description, unit of measure, everything you need. Now, just to give you a note on unit of measure, if you have stuff that's received in case quantities or it's variable length, or really any UOM that Acumatica supports, we support it too, because we're just pushing transactions in and out of Acumatica, so the host system is always in charge. So let's say I wanted to move 100 of those things. Check, send, transactions complete. The move has been executed in Acumatica. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a sales order. Let's get some product out the door. Right now we have 2 modalities for that. We have ship by order, which is exactly what it sounds like. So you can create a sales order and view it from the handheld and sell against it. So let's just go ahead and do that. I'll show you this because SO by item functions extremely similarly to purchase order by item, in that you would say you have a customer that says, ship me everything that you've got in stock that I have on order. That way you can just go to XYZ customer's account and browse and see, okay, this is everything that we have on order. Let's start shipping it out to him or her. So I've got my sales order up. There's my customer, my warehouse, and then I can drill in and see what items are open if I don't have the barcodes in front of me. So you can see there's the items that are open on the order. You can see what's left, how many have been ordered, how many are available in inventory. Let's go ahead and ship the last item here. And what bin do we want to pick those out of? Let's go with row 1, shelf 1. 250 on the order. I have plenty of those in stock. And I'll show you one more thing. So what I've been doing, as you see as I go, is as I do my transactions, once I'm ready to send them up to Acumatica, I hit send. We give you a sort of last chance if you want to correct something or if you want to print labels or any other sort of extra side tasks. I can hit this review button up here. And if I decide that like if I hit 240 instead of 250 and I realized it, instead of having to ship the last 10 on a separate line, I can go back in and delete the line with the action button here. But this actually looks good to me, or I can even print labels here, but it looks good to me. I'm going to keep shipping this order. So let's grab one other item on there. There's my grill. Let's see where those are in stock today. Again, row 1, shelf 1. I got a lot of stuff in there right now. Get my quantity. And that order that SO has been completed, or at least those lines have been completed, and the shipment's been generated up in Acumatica. Another modality for shipping that we're adding soon by customer demand is the ability to sort of pre-allocate, create the shipment in Acumatica, and then pull product against the shipment from the handheld. So once that's available, I'll be demoing it, but we're working on that right now based on feedback from current customers as well as prospects that we've been talking to in the marketplace. So let's see, we've gone through purchase order and sales order, inventory transfers. Physical counts I'll talk to. I don't have a sample count set up right now, but the easiest way to explain it is once you set up a physical count in Acumatica, whether that's a full warehouse count or a cycle count or a count by item, it automatically flows to the handheld, and then you can execute that count. So instead of having to go around with a piece of paper, you can send your whole team around with all their handhelds, and they can count through your entire warehouse very quickly. Last but not least, I'll just dive into utilities for a second. We have inventory locators, which are exactly what they sound like, but the one I want to show you is aliases. So let's say you have a situation where you're getting product in from a vendor and it has a UPC code on it already, or a vendor product number. You can actually scan that barcode in here, set it up as an alias, and then cross-reference it to your own product and push that up into Acumatica. That's also a very handy way to handle multiple units of measure. You can have your different barcodes or UPC codes for individual quantities, case quantities, and more. But at any rate, that is the core demo of both warehouse and manufacturing on Acumatica from Scanco. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, or raise your hand at the end of this webinar.
Thank you, Richard. Matt is going to be presenting Starship. Thank you, Matt.
Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. We all really appreciate it. As Adrian just mentioned, we'll go through Starship. Try to make this as quick and painless as possible. So on my screen, hopefully you can all see it. I have the Starship program. Nice thing with Starship, it is multi-carrier, multi-mode. So really my shippers, they can directly from Starship. It doesn't matter the carrier. It doesn't matter if it's a parcel or freight shipment. Everything can be done right from Starship. So in the upper left-hand side, as you can see, I have my source document. We can pull by sales order, by shipment, or by customer number. Most clients we find, they will have the shipment already created, so they pull by shipment number. So in the source fields here, I can either manually type this in. If my picked sheets are barcoded, it can actually use just a regular wedge type scanner and scan that barcode. Or as you can see, we also have a lookup. In the lookup, we can apply filters. I just filtered this by ship date. So I can select and load my document right from that lookup. And what Starship's going to do is actually go into Acumatica and actually pull order header as well as the line item detail. So really, we just map fields from Acumatica. Map fields can have a more one-to-many relationship. So based off the ship via, as you can see here, Starship's automatically selected my carrier service billing type. Can be domestic or international shipments. As you can see, this one happens to be an international. So we can set up default international services as well. So this ship via was just UPS ground, but I can tell Starship, hey, if it's UPS ground but it's going international, let's automatically select UPS standard, in this case to Canada. As you can see in these drop downs, just because this is automatically populated, I can most certainly just come in here and manually change my carrier or my service, even my billing type. Okay. Senders is the company we're pulling from Acumatica, and recipient, of course, is that ship to from the order. Starship will do address validation. We validate zip +4. So going to help save on those address correction fees. And we also validate the commercial residential flag. So also going to help you save on the residential commercial flag correction fee if you get hit with those by your carriers. All right. Down in the packaging view, this is where we're pulling in the item level detail. For this order, I actually have some packaging scenarios set up. So with Starship, you can manually set up or have it automatically learn your packaging scenarios. So my 2 items from this order have actually automatically been packaged for me. Now, if you do this inside the shipment, inside of Acumatica, of course, Starship will pull that in. But in this case, I'm just bringing in my orders. Starship's taking over using packaging scenarios. And as you can see, putting my items into boxes. So inside of Starship, you can also set up custom packaging. So a nice thing with setting up the custom packaging, it will automatically populate the dimensions. So when Starship does rate shop, we will also return dim weights. Okay, so we have your actual and then your dim weight. If you have scales hooked up, we can read from scales, in the line item detail. As you can see here, we're pulling in that information. Another nice thing with Starship, we have our own database for your inventory items. Again, Starship will automatically start storing those. But with using that database, we have additional fields where, as you can see here, for international, I can store that required international information, such as country or manufacturer. The harmonizer Schedule B code, we actually have a lookup. So your shippers can actually just look up at time of shipment if this was missing a harmonized code. Okay, certificate of origin, again, all those standard settings that we need. So my items come in packaged, and now if I want, I can actually rate shop at time of shipment here. So with Starship, we actually make the call out to the carriers. So at Starship, we actually sell the carriers as separate modules. That way you can just build your own, use the carriers that you actually use and not forced to purchase any carrier you're not using. But any carrier I have a module with, Starship will actually make the call directly to their web services or API services. And we are going to return your live negotiated contract rate that you have with the carrier. Okay. We will also return list rates if you'd like to see the published rates. And that's, LTL carriers. We have, in total over 24 carriers between UPS and LTL carriers and FedEx, USPS as well. And as you can see, I'm going to be able to see business days, total days, estimated delivery date, and again, contract or list charges. You can also, with Starship, set up ship via rules. So if you want Starship to automatically look through this database and select the carrier service based off your own criteria, most certainly can do that. Charges tab, this is just a breakdown of charges. To ship this, I don't necessarily have to select this tab. I just like to show it because with Starship, you can also set up freight rules. So here I have one, I'm just adding a 2% kind of like surcharge on top of the shipping total. So freight rules can be min, maxes, flat rates, as you can see, percentages. It can be based off of all sorts of different triggers. And so here again, I'm just doing a 2%. Going to add that on top of my contract rate. It's up to you. If you want to do freight rules, it could be plus or minus contract or the published list rates. Right. So when my shipper is ready to ship, they can click the ship and process button or the F5 key. It's the little shortcut key. But as soon as we do that, we are going to get our shipping documents. Of course, for the sake of the demo, I have them previewing, but most certainly we can send these off to a thermal printer or a laser printer. Okay. So also for the demo, I'm using what we call our smart label. And as you can see, the smart label will print our shipping label and packaging list together on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So this would go to a laser printer. But as I mentioned, most certainly we can send the shipping label to a thermal printer. And with Starship, if you want to use the packing list, that can go to a thermal printer as well. So if you want to save some paper, use the free label stock you get from your carrier. You can most certainly do that. Or you can also just send the packing list to a laser printer. All right. Box 1, we get box 2. And because this is international, we do print all the international documents if needed. Again, we're pulling order header, line item detail, so all that information is going to populate on the documents. And also, for LTL shipments, we'll print bill of lading, pallet labels, so on and so forth. Nice thing with the documents, they can be customized. So this one, I have it pre-signed, name, dated, so on. So if I am printing these, it's one less thing my shipper has to stop and manually, fill out. And then with each template, so maybe this commercial invoice, customer ABC needs it to look a certain way. You could actually design a template, and then on that template, assign a printing rule. So when the order is for ABC, the commercial invoice template will print for customer ABC. So get my documents, and now really for my shipper, they're in the rinse repeat cycle. It's time for them to move on to their next shipment, get that out the door. Okay. Back inside of Acumatica, I'm just going to go into the shipments, and we'll put in that shipment we just did. Okay. As you can see on the shipping setting, we are going to pass back the freight cost. So that is actually the charge that you are going to be charged by the carrier. And then the freight amount is, what we're charging for this shipment. And again, that's plus or minus any freight rules if we have them set up inside of Starship. On the packaging tab, we are going to write back the box ID. So we're going to know what this was packaged in. And of course, tracking information, customer reference 1 and 2. I'm just writing back the service, carrier, as well as the ship date. It's up to you. These can be changed. And then also on the notes tab, we are going to write back all that package tracking, ship date, time, and weight. Okay. Really quick, a couple other features that are included with Starship. First one is our e-notification program. So a nice thing with e-notify, you can actually design your own custom templates. Put your company logo on these, build your brand awareness. These are very easy to create. So as you can see, you can let your customer know package item detail, hyperlink tracking numbers, so these can help reduce inbound calls of customers just looking for their shipment. If you wanted to do promo codes, most certainly can do that. Hyperlink them, get the customer right back to your website. And here we have one for a 10% discount. Same thing, kind of like our shipping documents, unlimited templates with these emails. And you can also set up emailing rules. So again, hey, customer ABC, we want to send them a special promo. Again, you can design a template, and then when the order is for customer ABC, it will send that certain template to them. And then also included is our dashboard. So dashboard is a nice reporting tool. Right now, I just have some performance indicators set up here. So as you can see, I can see shipment by carrier, shipment by mode, my parcel LTL, by user. So each of your shippers can have their own login, their own security features, be able to see who's shipping what. Or even a history view. Nice thing with these widgets, you can drill down further. You can track from dashboard. This one has happened to be deleted, but if a customer called up, I would have access to all this information, such as shipping date, estimated delivery, the status of it, if it was in transit, again, line item, the packaging, even the proof of delivery, if it was supported and required by the carrier, we could actually see the signature. And then actually real quick, couple reports, two that I like to make mention. Canned reports we have, late delivery, that's going to show you all your shipments. It's going to compare the guaranteed delivery date to the actual delivery date. Going to let you know of any package that wasn't delivered on time. So you can reach out to the carrier, try to get a refund. And then our shipment charge comparison report. This is a great report. Again, show you all your shipments. It's going to compare it to the applied, so what you charge the customer for the shipment. It's going to list your contract rate, and then the third column is the plus or minus. So nice report you can run, take a look at your shipments, make sure you're, not losing money on any of those shipments. Okay. And really that's what I wanted to show everyone. Again, thank everyone for taking time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you, Matt. And thank you to everyone who's been presenting today. Just want to mention, this webinar is all about taking full control of your current business by providing automation, security, and compliance. And this can be done easily with Acumatica Manufacturing, Scanco, Starship, and American Payment Solutions from the moment you process in order entry to manufacturing, production scheduling, order status monitoring, labor and material tracking, warehouse pick and pack, shipping, and of course at the end, get paid faster. Ladies and gentlemen, with speedy delivery, you get satisfied customers, and of course, you get paid faster. So where exactly does credit card processing come in? You're basically allowed to process credit card transactions directly within Acumatica. So you can set up as many credit cards under a customer as you would like, and that credit card information will become available to you within Acumatica so that you don't have to retype it in every time you process an order for a client. In this case, I'm processing a quick transaction within Acumatica. And what I'd like to do is just show you how simple it is to follow standard Acumatica functionality and then have the additional benefit of processing a payment within Acumatica. Previously, I had set up several credit cards for this customer. You also have the option to set up ACH and set up a default card within the order screen. You can also multiple payment types against invoices. And this again is based off of the standard Acumatica screens. You can pre-authorize transactions or capture directly within the order entry screen. It's this simple. You click on the authorize or capture button. The transaction will go through our gateway. We have already tokenized the card information, so it is being stored in our secured vault. Once the transaction is complete, you get a pre-authorization or a completed transaction ID. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one of the reasons I like to present at the very end is to demonstrate how simple, not only how simple it is to process within Acumatica, but the different options you have when it comes to processing. Everybody needs to know about the danger behind flat rates and tiered pricing, and we are here to show you exactly what that is. Adrian mentioned level 3 processing at the beginning. Level 3 processing is a program that was put in place by Visa and MasterCard back in 2008, where they offered to lower your rate in half, and sometimes even more than half, down to 0.03%. And the only thing they ask in exchange is that you provide them with 13 to 16 fields, and it has to be a business-to-business or business-to-government transaction. Now, think about it. The rate can be lowered in half and sometimes more, but this cannot be taken advantage of if you're processing through flat rates or tiered pricing. Now, level 3 processing requires the fields that you see on the screen right now. We basically automated the process to take the fields out of Acumatica for you, deliver them to Visa and MasterCard, and get the lowest rate possible available. Most people ask me, why not just continue processing with Authorize.net? Well, level 3 is not available automated through Authorize.net, among other things, and you can see there are different fees. Level 3 with American Payment Solutions is available right out of the box. And take a look at the amount of savings we can bring to the table. This is an average savings. If you were not looking at the webinar up until now and you were multitasking, take a look at this screen. This is almost $17,000 worth that can be sitting at your table right now, and you are not taking advantage of it. If anybody would like to learn how to obtain a free audit of your current rates and fees, simply reach out to myself at American Payment Solutions or any member of my team, and we